Okay, I have good news and bad news. The good news, or perhaps the bad news, depending on how you look at it, is this is my second attempt to record this. I started recording and I thought that my microphone wasn't getting recorded. Turns out it was, and I panicked for no reason, and I just deleted the recording because I, in order to restart it, in order to keep it going, I stopped my mic audio, but I didn't stop my video recording. So I would have had to have done some work to try and put them back together. I figured it'd be easier for me to restart because I got off on a few tangents already. I was only 8 minutes into it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, hello. I have as of yet to keep my schedule that I was supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be recording these videos on Saturday and uploading them on Sunday. That hasn't been happening so far. I'm going to try and keep it more consistent. And on that topic, in the discussion about consistency, pardon me, I think it would be best if I tried to talk about what inspired the specific episodes at the beginning of each of these. If you're not already aware, welcome. This is episode breakdown or content breakdown. This is a series I decided to do because I wanted to talk about the inspiration of each of these episodes. I wanted to point out some video editing effects that I did. I wanted to point out the things that I wanted people to take away from the videos, not necessarily in like a life-changing or educational way, but just I wanted to point out the things that I wanted the audience to pick up on or to be talking about, because to me the most fun part about posting these videos is seeing people's discussion, their theories about it, what they thought was going to happen. When I get to, I think it was episode 3 of the Villain Goku arc, I will definitely be sure to point out some of the discussions, one of the comments in particular that someone left that I thought was really interesting and actually affected how I wrote the finale. Let's see. So the inspiration for this video was more or less the song that plays during this segment. I because this is this is the first reimagining series that I did, and so this is one of the oldest, obviously. I don't actually remember when the idea for this series came up. Like, obviously the fan theories about Goten have been around for a while, but the rest of this series, I don't know when I actually decided to write the script for all of it. It was sometime after Dragon Ball Super Broly came out, because a lot of the music from Dragon Ball Super Broly inspired me to make more of these series instead of just having the one-off, which episode 1 would have been. It's really the music is what made me decide to post these videos as opposed to just keeping it to myself or keeping it in my head or just writing it out somewhere. So I also should point out that I fixed the audio issues I was having before. For whatever reason, so usually in Windows I can say use this if I have two audio output sources, for instance my speakers and my headphones. I can tell Windows play all my audio through my speakers or all my audio through my headphones, and I had it set to my headphones. Unfortunately, it seems Adobe has its own version of that where I have to determine where my audio is output to. It's the same thing also for OBS, the program that I use to record. So I'm starting to realize that I guess some programs just have their own specific output settings. I don't have these things in, I want to say, most video games I play or Google Chrome or anything like that. These aren't things I normally notice, so it's not something I really considered, but suffice to say, I'm able to hear the audio and have it be recorded at the same time. And I should actually double check to make sure. I'm not going to restart this recording just to make sure that the audio is playing as it should. I'm just going to try. In fact, I should be able to see right now. Yeah, okay. So you guys will be able to hear. I'll be able to hear. Everyone's happy. Whatever. Let's see. What else? The final thing that I want to point out before I start is that this should be labeled as introduction. Final thing I want to point out is that what was it? Oh. I don't know. I'm looking over to the side while trying to think, but if I turn my head 90 degrees, I would see my notes, which I actually typed up for this video. Anyway, final thing I want to point out is that this video was this was meant to be the finale. It was meant to be a 3-part series where I just talked about this. What ended up happening is I added episode 2 into the mix because I wanted to explain time travel. The reason I wanted to talk about time travel is something we will discuss when we get to this part of the video, but that's something that I'll talk about later. Let's see what else. Oh, and in the future I might end up streaming these. I was thinking about if I post these on Sunday. Let's say I'm about to post this video. It's 4 minutes long. I post it on Sunday. Oh, the thing is though, people aren't going. Well, I'll post it on Sunday. I'll have it be like a premiere. Hopefully people will gather around and they'll be like, oh, I want to watch this as soon as it premieres, and they'll watch it. And then once it's done, after 4 minutes, I'll then go live and I'll have in the YouTube comment section, hey, if you liked this, you can head on over to my Twitch or YouTube, wherever I'm streaming, and you can listen to me talk about how I produced this, what inspired me, the things I wanted people to notice, why I made certain decisions, how I wrote the script, things like that. And then hopefully people will join. I don't have high expectations that I'll have like tons and tons of viewers because I don't know, my videos they're not super popular. I'm not too bothered by it, I suppose, but I'm not expecting to start streaming and have like 200 viewers. Okay, with all that said, let's go ahead and get started.
Ah, そうだ。運命を決めるにしちゃせこいリングだな。完全体になってさらに完璧の強さを手に入れちまった。
Okay, one thing I want to point out now that we're starting is, of course, the reason that I added these little clips of Goten is just to invoke emotions. One of the things I don't really like about Dragon Ball Z or fighting media in general is that they always have to raise the stakes, right? They're always, if your main character becomes stronger because of some transformation, you now have to have someone else who is even stronger somehow for some reason. I know there are 2 different ways of having your main character always have someone who's quote unquote stronger than them, and that's one of them. And I feel like that's the most common one, is that if your main character gets to level 50, their next enemy has to be level 52 or 55. If your main character gets to level 70, the villain has to be level 75, level 80. They always have to be stronger somehow, which is a bit of a problem because eventually you get to the point where in the Battle of Gods movie, really quickly, just wanted to say I am expecting this to be the shortest of the videos so far. Not that it's going to be like 10 minutes. I was hoping for like 15 minutes, but I don't think that's realistic. But I know it's a bit of a surprise since this one is 4 minutes long, whereas the others were 2 or 2.5 minutes long. But I do expect this to be the shortest because I've already talked about all the things I wanted to talk about, like my problem with why I don't use Vegeta and things like that. So one of the ways that you can there always has to be conflict, otherwise the story isn't as interesting. If you know your main character can handle it, or if you know the main characters can handle it, then it's not really all that interesting, right? So one way that you can solve this is by always having continuously stronger enemies. Another way that you can solve this, and this was a video I was watching, I can't remember if it was from Totally Not Mark. I want to say it's from the guy who does JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but really quickly, but I could be entirely wrong. Another way is that you could have what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does, where like part 3, it's not that the enemy stands were physically stronger or they just had bigger numbers, it's that the way they were used were new, and you had to find a way to use your abilities to combat their abilities. It's not that one of them, usually, it's not that one of them is just stronger than the other, it has bigger numbers, it has better stats. It's more of, okay, first I have to figure out what your abilities are, then I have to figure out the limitations of your abilities, and now I have to figure out how I can use my abilities within their limitations, or if I break their limitations, to combat you, which I feel like is a somewhat more interesting way of doing it. I feel like that's better, because if you just so in the Battle of Gods movie that Dragon Ball Z Super had, there was a point where Goku and Beerus were knocking fists together. That's not a euphemism. And I think Elder Kai was saying they're tearing apart the very fabric of the universe because people this strong don't normally fight this evenly matched or something like that. And then we go on to just continue having normal battles after that. It doesn't really make much sense. So I don't really like the whole issue of, oh, well, if you're level 100, I'm just going to be level 105. Instead, I like when there are other reasons why you can't be as strong as you are, or you can't immediately defeat the villain. And that's what I was trying to do here. It's not a question of whether or not Goku is strong enough. And I'll talk about this in episode 4, but I just briefly want to preview it here. The Goku is definitely strong enough to be Goten. That's something that I wanted to make clear from the beginning. But it's his son. In fact, let's keep looking and we'll be able to talk about this a little bit more in just a second.
お手頑張ろうな。武道大会でまた会おう。では。
Okay. I'm actually going to mute the music and audio here because this got my other video hit with a copyright strike. So I want to be able to talk throughout these without having to worry about Toei going and adding ads to my videos. Most of my videos do have ads. They're not ads that I place. In order to make money off YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and I don't remember, like 1,000 hours watched on your channel. I don't come anywhere close to that currently, so any ads you see on my videos, I don't add them. They're not, at least as of right now, I don't add them. I don't make any money off my videos. I literally just make them for fun. So I'm doing my best to keep this one ad free. I try and not use copywritten music, but I don't know what music is copyright. I don't like that Piccolo is kind of just staring into my soul right here. I don't like that my videos get hit with copyright strikes, but a lot of the series is built around specific music. Like as of late, a lot of these videos are written solely because I was listening to a song and I thought, man, that's a great song. I wish that we were in a video that talked about this. Hey, by the way, I have a story to tell. And so that's what ends up happening. But I'm going to mute this for now. If you want to go and listen to it with the music and all of this, you can either go watch my video or honestly, you can just go watch the actual episode. I don't know which episode this is from because I clipped it, but I didn't really change anything here. I just liked this scene as it was, so I played it straight. I didn't change the text. In fact, I kept pausing. I kept pausing and going back and looking at what the actual text was because I liked it. It was good. The only thing I did change is right here. Oh, did this get? Okay. Right here, I just zoomed in. I zoomed in to focus solely on Goten, because look, he's the only one who's actually sad about this. He's broken up about it because his dad's leaving. Here's what it originally looked like. How do I do this? Close this. Let's get you in the center. I think 145. Nope. Let's try 155. There we go. So let's just extend this really quickly and make you the only one. So originally it just showed everyone saying goodbye to him, but the whole point of this is to focus on Goten, so focus on Goten I did. Let's set this back to however it was originally. There we are. So I just zoomed in on him. Okay. And in fact, I think that will be a good still frame to pause on. Okay. So, yeah, I wanted this to be an emotional issue. Goku can absolutely defeat Goten, but the problem is, like he says earlier here, he's too far gone. You can't save him anymore. He has set himself down on this path, and words aren't going to fix that. He didn't, like, Trunks obviously has probably tried talking to him before, and this hasn't happened. They wouldn't be fighting if it were something that could be discussed, that could just be fixed with just the two of them, Trunks and Goten, talking. So once they start fighting, the only way it'll stop is if one of them dies. Obviously, if he dies, you can't revive him because he's still going to have that mental, not illness, but complex. He's still going to have that complex. I did end up having to write a reason why you can't just use the Dragon Balls to fix that issue, but these are all things that I discuss more, or I show more in episode 4, and so they're things that I'll discuss more in episode 4. But I just wanted to briefly mention that's what I thought would make this interesting. It's not, is Goku strong enough? It's always he can't beat Goku though, but it's, should Goku beat him? Should Goku engage in this fight? Isn't there some other way for this to be done? Because some of the most fun battles are the ones where you don't want the villain to lose. Like when I was watching JoJo Part 4, Yoshikage Kira, he's a bad person. He's a murderer, an unapologetic murderer. There's no redeeming quality to him, right? He kills people because he can, not because he needs to, or he's making the world a better place, or some moral reason. He kills people because he wants to, because it excites him. But I never wanted him to lose. Whenever he and the main cast were at risk of meeting, I wanted him to escape because he was just so interesting. It was fascinating. Whenever, spoilers for Mob Psycho 100 Season 3, if you haven't seen it, in episode 4, 5, and 6, I think, when Dimple is facing against Mob, I struggle to root for someone because I like Dimple. I don't want him to lose, but I like Mob. I don't want him to lose either. I know Mob's going to win because he's the main character, just like how I knew in Part 4 of JoJo, Kira would eventually lose. But that didn't stop me from not wanting that battle to happen because I cared about these characters. I wanted them to succeed in their own ways, and that's what I was aiming for here. I wanted you to care about Goten, even though we haven't seen very much characterization from him, and he's mostly just living in Trunks' shadow. Even though he's not really his own person, I still wanted you to not really want them to fight. You know a fight's inevitable, but you don't know how it's going to resolve because you don't want either party to lose. That's what I was going for. That's why I made it emotional. Goku can win, but should he win? We're going to skip ahead a little further. Oh, apparently I forgot to mention, I'm looking at my notes. Here. So I noticed an issue in this episode that I hadn't realized has probably been happening in all my videos. So you can see these two frames right here are just showing Goten, but whenever I upload these to YouTube, for whatever reason, this frame shows. It's just a single frame that shows, but I'm not sure why, especially because I don't see that on my end, so it doesn't make any sense. Well, I don't know if this is what's happening, but I think the issue is, one, the frame rate. This is at almost 24 frames, and maybe it's because YouTube, I don't know, has videos at 30 frames per second, or maybe it's because I don't think I output this at 30 frames per second. Or I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I noticed around this time that I was having issues with a single frame that isn't supposed to be there just slipping in, and it would happen occasionally. I don't know why it happened. So it was during this video that I started investigating and looking for a solution. I think I found a solution now, but I don't really know what the cause is. I kind of just treated it. Let me see what else. This song is from ReZero. Where is it? This song is from ReZero. It's one of the ones I love. It's like this one, the one during, I think this is the one during Rem's confession. But this one, I think this is also the one when Subaru's breaking down crying in Emilia's lap. Anyway, there are 3 songs that I love, and this is one of them from ReZero. I love a lot of the songs from ReZero, but I added this just because I felt like it was fitting. I do think this was in the original script. Like when I was writing quote unquote the script, this song was in there just because I wanted to talk about, I don't know, I felt like it went well with this. But one of the things I wanted to point out is Goku praising Goten. The purpose of this is that, like I said earlier, you don't want them to fight, because you know that at the end of this, someone's going to die. It's obviously going to be Goten, because even if Goten kills Goku, then everyone else is going to fight Goten. And even if they, like, there's no way they're all going to lose. You have the entire cast here, except for Gohan. You have everyone of importance. Vegeta is over there, Piccolo's over here, Goku's here, Trunks is here. So there's no way they're going to lose. Plus, they're just going to get their Dragon Balls back and revive Goku anyway. So Goten has no chance of winning here. He is horrendously outnumbered, outpowered, outmatched. So Goku, realizing this, is trying to defuse the situation. He hears that Goten has a complex where he's constantly being compared to himself and to Gohan. So how does he fix that? Well, I'm just going to praise you. I'm going to praise you on all the hard work you must have been putting in. Even if you... In fact, let's keep going. Oh, you may notice here, Goku actually says Videl's name. Again, this is back when I was recording the audio from the anime, which I'll talk about in a second, but it's one of the first clear lines that I could get, so I just threw it in there, and I was hoping no one would notice, but now that I'm hearing it, I notice it bothers me. Okay, so a few things to talk about. Trunks is of course surprised because what are you doing? Everyone else more or less understands what he's going at, but again, notice that Goku is doing his best to praise Goten. Wow, your power is so amazing. I didn't realize you were this strong. Man, you must have put in a lot of work to get where you are. Like, he's recognizing the effort that Goten must have been putting in to get the results that he has. One thing that I would change if I were to read, I guess I'll do those. No, I'll do it now. Yeah, because it's something minor. One thing that I would change is you hear Goku flying. I would have just added it a little bit earlier so that you can hear it while Vegeta is looking up. I just felt like it was a sudden... He's flying. Okay, he's done. Also, if you have headphones on, you can hear the direct... Let me try that again. You can hear the directionality here. Whenever the portal is over to the right, it's in the right ear. When it's over to the left, it's in the left ear. Just a small detail that I added because I like small details. So right here, it's in your left. It's in your right. This scene, originally Goku was talking. I just covered that up because I don't have any dialogue for here. Okay, so notice this. There's a few things I want to talk about here, but listen to that high-pitched ring in the background while Goten's talking. Also notice how this line is quieter than this one. It's quieter because that I noticed that high-pitched ringing sound and it irritated me. I don't know what it came from because I just recorded different parts of the anime. I just know it's from Goku Black talking and it was annoying to me, so I couldn't remove it, so I tried just decreasing the volume a little bit so that it was less noticeable. Obviously, if I were to redo this, I have clear recordings of Goku Black talking without any background noise, so it's not really an issue. I've also, yeah, I'll just do the timestamps later. I try not to do any editing for this, but I end up doing it. I end up reviewing it anyway. So you'll notice that now Goten is in the past, and in fact, well, we'll talk about that in a second because I'll just show you rather than explain it. Here, I felt the need to explain where, like, Goten's clothes came from because they're very different than everyone else's. These are the gi that the Supreme Kais wear, and I just wanted to explain a little bit about that. I ended up like explaining, oh, it's supposed to be symbolic. The gray is the ashes of the buildings he burned. The red is the blood of the people he's killed. I wrote that and then I cringed from it because I felt like it was edgy. So I had him, reference or talk about that. Oh, also here you can hear that high-pitched sound. So the reason that he keeps jumping between this background, the present time and the future time, and why Goku has that happen here. I was watching, I don't remember which one it is, but in the modern Star Wars trilogy, the one that 7, 8, and 9, the ones that people keep hating on, I watched it with one of my friends, and one of the things that I loved the most about it was, let me see if I can find it actually. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to end up getting copyright strikes for reviewing this, but it was not specifically this scene. I'm going to mute it so I can talk over it, but the fact that they're in two separate places and yet what one person does affects the other. I just thought it was really cool. They have this connection through the Force that allows them to interact with each other. Even though they're not in the same actual place, they're seeing the other wherever they are because they have this connection. So I thought that was so interesting and so well done. Specifically, let me see if I can find it. Okay, well, I can't find it, but it's when they're fighting one another, and of course I find it just as I'm talking about it. Yeah, so it's this. They're not in the same place, but they have this connection that allows them to still be battling each other. And I wanted to have something like that happen. I wanted it to show that one of them is in, or both of them are in the future, and then you see the other one in wherever they're actually at. I thought it would be interesting. Especially, this is when I thought it was really, really cool. When he realizes he now is able to see a little bit of her background. I thought that was really cool. So that's what inspired this. I wanted to show them drifting in and out of the timelines. And I did my best to, because this is still back when I was trying to, I mean, I'm still trying to keep my videos as short as possible, but because this is back when I was like, if my videos are more than 5 minutes, nobody will watch them. I did my best to just convey that here. So that's what this is supposed to be. You see Goku going from the future to, or from the present to the future. In order to do this effect, I'm pretty sure these are still images. So I have a still image of the future, and it's just a really large image that I have scrolling. Let me see if I can find the path. Yeah, I made it scroll manually, and I zoomed way in on it. This is the image. It's from some part of the oops. It's from some part of Dragon Ball Super. I just scrolled through and looked for where I could see a nice image. And then same thing for this one. It's just a background of, I just took a picture. I'm pretty sure I probably typed in anime sky and then just did the exact same thing for Goku. I don't remember what this originally was from. Let's see. Oh, and I also made it less saturated and darker. I'll talk about that in a second, but let's see. Oh, okay, it's when they went to the future and he was just looking around and he was like, oh, what's going on? So this is the future, huh? So yeah, that's what that's from. And then as it moved from one side to the, as I moved it manually from one side to the other, I just made it so that, like, I cut out his shape and I made it so that he loses saturation and brightness. The reason I did that is because I wanted the future in general. You'll notice, let me get this back. You'll notice the future in general I made darker. Here's how it originally looked. I made it darker because I wanted, or I made it less saturated and yeah, darker because I wanted it to seem more grim, more problematic. Just I wanted a clear contrast between how bright and colorful and fun the present time is compared to how grim dark the future is. So that's why I ended up doing that. Oh, and this concept where they're talking back and forth between the present time and the future time, that was because of Star Wars. That's what inspired this. So that's all I wanted to say. Again, Goku just saying, like, he's recognizing that's, pretty weird and cringy, but he doesn't want to say that. He just wants his son to be normal. So okay, so the only reason I mentioned the Supreme Kai in the text is because the audio I took this from, I think, was Dragon Ball Super, when Beerus and Goku were visiting the Supreme Kai, specifically because of this episode. This episode, because I was scanning through most of the Goku Black. You can see which episodes I scanned through, from 47 to at least 61. There's probably a few past 61 that I ended up just cutting. But while I was scanning through, I was just listening for any part of the episode where there was no music. So I mentioned Supreme Kai because in the original Japanese he says Supreme Kai. I don't know what else he says, but he says Kaioshin Sama. So I wanted to mention that. It was around this point I started realizing if I wanted to, I could add Zamasu to this story. I could make it where Goten gets adopted by Zamasu, who says, I don't know, like, I don't dislike Zamasu's character. In fact, I actually like Zamasu as a character. He's trying to do the right thing for the wrong reasons. Is that correct? He's trying to do the wrong thing for the right reasons? No, he's trying to do the right thing for the wrong reasons. He's trying to make the universe a better place, but he's going to do that by killing everyone he feels doesn't meet that standard. And that's not good, obviously. But I thought about making it, should I bring Zamasu into this? I can make it where he was like a father figure to Goten, and he raised him, and that's why Goten has the clothing of the Kais, and that's how he was able to train to be as strong as he is, stronger than Trunks. I thought about it, but I felt like I didn't want this to be too overloaded. Again, these videos are meant to be relatively short, and I could add him, but ultimately this story isn't about him anyway. It's about Goku and Goten, mostly Goten. So there wasn't really much point. If you didn't notice, I added tears here. They slowly fade in. I wanted to have a single tear go down his cheek, but I tried and I'm not good at drawing, and I'm not really all that great at animating either, so I couldn't figure it out. So I just added that. Also, the ones I did do, it just made me really cringe because it was so poorly done. So even this still makes me a little uncomfortable. I feel like it's, I don't know, not cliche or anything, but anyway, Goku manages to get through to Goten, and he makes him feel good, and he's starting to realize, okay, I'm enough as I am. That's all he wanted, was just to be accepted for who he is as he is. So he did it. Hooray. This clip you may recognize from earlier, when Goku is leaving and he pats Goten on the head. I just flipped it. I changed Goten's gi from orange to gray, which was a little difficult to do because it's the exact same color as Goku. So you might be wondering, how did I do that? Because I definitely just had Adobe's, computer automatically do it. Well, I just cut out, these are two separate images. I cut out an image of Goku right here, and I left this alone, and then I cut out an image of Goten, and I just changed the orange to the gray. Because if I didn't do that, if I didn't make it two separate images, then both of them would have gray gi. In fact, I think, yeah, this is just an image. I ended up just rendering out an image like that. But the point of this is to show that there's still like a kid inside of Goten who's just looking for his dad's approval, and that's it. That's all it's meant to be. It's supposed to also, I wanted like Goku to hug Goten, but obviously they never really embrace, so that's out of the question. But it's supposed to be like he actually goes over and he pats him on the head and hugs him and shows affection and things like that. Hooray! Okay, so we did it. We solved the issue, and Goten's all solved, and this isn't how I wanted it to end. I have an actual ending that I had planned, and this isn't it. So I actually kind of wrote myself into a corner for a little bit, and for like 15 minutes I was like, oh no, what do I do? Because this isn't the ending I want. How do I get him out of this? This is when I was writing the script, not when I was animating this. And then I just added this little line to bring it back, to have Goten have his problems again. Goku was this close, so close. He said everything correct, but unfortunately, when you're dealing with someone who has mental issues, it's sometimes you can say the most inconspicuous things and it just sets them off because you don't know what's going on in their heads. So that's what happened here. It's not that Goku really said anything wrong. He's still trying to praise Goten. It's just that Goten doesn't want to be compared. Period. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, he doesn't want to be compared. He just wants to be himself. This is the song I was saying inspired this episode because I like it. And if you listen, you can still hear that high-pitched ringing in Goten's voice. I think this is the episode that pushed me to gather my own audio files from Xenoverse 2. If you listen closely, when Goku gets blasted and he goes flying, you can actually hear the music from the original video anime, because I just used the audio from the original anime. The reason I did that is because at that time I didn't have any clear audio files of Goku yelling. In the future, I will point out my Wilhelm scream for Goku. There's two screams that I use a lot for Goku, and once you notice them, you'll start to notice them in all of my videos, just because they're easy to use. And for the longest time, they're the only ones I have. I think now I have 7 different Goku screams, but for a while it was just those two. Decided to edit this to Vegeta. Why not? Okay, I also realized I feel like a better way of doing this is to play a few seconds of it and then go back and talk about it. I might do that more in the future. Anyway, here one of the other things I don't like about Dragon Ball, current Dragon Ball, or just fighting anime in general, is this need to continuously escalate things. Before, it was, when Dragon Ball started out, it was, I'll kill you, Goku. And then it was, I'll kill you and your friends, Goku. And then Dragon Ball Z started, and Vegeta threatened to blow up the planet. And then Frieza came to Earth and he threatened to blow up the planet. And then Boo actually blew up the planet. And then Beerus came and he's the strongest in the universe, so he threatened to destroy the universe. And then we got Zeno-sama, and he's the king of all of the multiverses, so he can completely wipe out not just your universe, but all the universes. I don't care. I don't care. Once you've blown up the planet, I don't care what happens after that. I don't care if you blow up the entire galaxy or the entire universe. Once my planet is destroyed, that's it. I don't care about anything past that. If you go and destroy Mars right now, I'll be sad, oh no, you destroyed Mars, but it's not that big a deal to me. What matters most is that the people that I know are dead. So instead of having him say, oh, I'll go around and I'll destroy all life in this timeline. No. Who cares about that? I'm just going to kill all the people that know you. Everyone that you can think of, all the way from Ader from Dragon Ball, all the people in that village near Muscle Tower, just anyone who knows the name Goku, I'm just going to kill them. Not only does that not it's not that it doesn't raise the stakes, but there's no reason to go anywhere past destroying the planet because you care about your friends. That's what you care about most on the planet is you care about your friends and your family. Sure, you care about the rest of humanity and nature and all of that, but what's most important is the people who know you. So this also makes it a lot more personal. It's not just, yeah, I'll just blow up the planet. No, it's I'm specifically going to go out of my way to kill everyone who knows you. It makes it a lot more personal. I think originally what I got this idea from was one of the Dark Knight movies, I want to say, where Bane tells Batman, I'm going to kill everyone who shows up to your funeral. I thought that was such a great villain line. That's so great. Because again, you're not trying to kill everyone. You're trying to do what you can to hurt that person in particular. So, no, none of this, we're going to destroy the universe. I don't care. Whether you destroy the planet or you destroy the universe, it's the same to me. So who cares? So why even mention it at that point? Just blow up the planet and be done with it. So yeah, that's why I added this. It makes it personal. I thought it was more interesting this way, and it makes it more about hurting that specific person. Oh, I forgot to mention Cell. Cell also threatened to blow up the planet. Makes it more about hurting that specific person. And that's it. I don't like here that obviously Goku is smiling. In the original, he was excited for a fight. In this context, he doesn't want to smile. But I didn't feel like editing it out because I didn't think it mattered all that much. I didn't think you could see it all that well. Okay. This is the song that plays whenever Goku is leaving. It's unfortunately it has everyone actually saying goodbye, goodbye in English at the end, but there you go. Yeah, that's all I have written down for this. Let's see what my time is. Alright, 48 minutes. I thought this one was going to be shorter. It was not. I just rambled too much. Hopefully, if you made it to episode 3, you're enjoying the series so far. I don't really have anything else to add. I'll see you in the next one. The next one is, I think, 8 minutes long, so it'll probably be like an hour. I'm really doing my best to shorten it, but apparently I can't. So, I'll see you in the next one.